Hello there.
Hello there.
Kyle Katarn here,
I'm the Bendu.
coming back for another episode of the Dork Forces podcast. This is episode 88, our Agatha All Along series review. We'll be getting to that in just a minute, but first we want to cover our Star Wars news and rumors of the day. First and foremost, how you doing, best friend?
I'm all right. It's thankfully been a pretty busy week. Like down here in Arizona, like all the snowbirds have started to kind of come in. So it's like now I'm needing to really make check of like in my commutes in the morning, like make sure like which freeway is being absolutely abused and which freeway I can take to work. But no, we're doing okay. I'm pumped actually. Because like all of the Marvel trailers that have come out, and kind of like what you said, we're gonna break down Agatha All Along, but like, yeah, I don't know. And the Wicked premiere just came out, and just there's a lot of things that have slowly been like getting my brain in the mode of like, oh man, Emerald City Comic Con is gonna kick so much ass this year.
It's gonna be so good.
There's gonna be so much amazing future cosplay, like all the stuff from the Acolyte. Everything from Skeleton Crew, like everything Marvel related.
We shall
feast. I feel like there's a few other shows that we've been watching. Oh, fucking Rings of Power, dude! Like, dude, there's the potential of so many cool Galadriels and so many cool fucking Saurons. And like, could you imagine like if we walk past some pod of cosplayers and they're all like the Elven guards from?
We'll have to get a group picture if we find them.
Oh man,
I'm personally hoping that we find a Dungeon Meshi cosplay group while we're at Emerald City.
Yes.
That's what I would love to find a Senshi or a Laios. Laios with all of the veggies in the armor, I think is the most iconic look.
Yeah. if we don't see a bunch of Senshis, I feel like we'll probably see a bunch of Laoses and what was the little one? What was the
Chilchuck.
Yeah.
The half foot.
I think we'll see a bunch of Chilchucks. But yeah, no. Greetings, everyone. Thank you for slowly joining us in, especially since this is the second week of daylight savings time. So we're all still kind of figuring out what dimension and what time zone everyone's in. But yes, there's a lot of exciting stuff. Trailers wise, again, we are still kind of playing it safe, and we're not going to show too many movie trailers, even though like we got 3 of them for Marvel today. I
have not actually watched any of the trailers yet.
No, we don't want to get dinged though. That's the
exactly
issue.
Yeah.
But in Star Wars news though, still a lot of good stuff. Skeleton Crew comes ever closer. The fact that on their Instagram we're now starting to get little behind the scenes pictures of Bryce Dallas Howard and Jude Law on set, like talking about stuff, and I'm just like, let's fucking go, man. Like, it's going to be so...
Marketing has begun.
In the details.
I really can't wait for Skeleton Crew, man. It looks like it's going to be so much fun. And I think all of us need a Star Wars project that doesn't take itself super seriously for a little bit of a breath of fresh air, just like some lighthearted fun. This looks like a romp through space being chased by pirates, and it has all of like the Goonies energy that I'm going to feel right at home watching it for sure. But it's nice that, like you said, like we're starting to get little bit interviews with the cast, little bits and pieces from Lucasfilm itself, and not just me posting about how we're one day closer to Skeleton Crew on threads every day.
But it's like
I can't wait, man. It's coming up soon, though.
Yeah, but even with the show not taking itself seriously, I'm just amazed by like how much amazing content like Bryce Dallas Howard has like made in like throughout her directorial
seriously
resume. Like, she's the type of person that you wouldn't, and I think that's kind of also the beauty of Star Wars, as I like interrupt myself, but it's beautiful that with Star Wars and the fan base and the community, like you can always still be surprised by who's a fan. There's always going to be people out there,
right? It's kind of an equalizer.
Oh yeah, it's like, oh, you something Boba Fett, or it's like they'll make a Jabba the Hutt Jabba the Hutt joke, and you're like, dude, I had no idea you even knew what Star Wars was. Like, it's not even like,
that's a very good point. I have a lot of friends or like people that I know very well that I have like virtually nothing in common with in terms of my life and who I am and where I live, etc. But we both love Star Wars, and like it's an equalizer, and because of that, we have common ground, and we actually have like friendships, me and these people. But like, we're such drastically different people that like it can surprise you who turns out to be like an ultra Star Wars nerd sometimes in a very beautiful way.
The most beautiful way.
I'm so stoked that I'll be in Japan next year, actually, which
Yeah,
brings us to our first piece of news that we want to talk about. Andor Season 2 release date officially announced April 22nd.
Yes.
April 22nd, 2025.
It's going to be a hard time springtime. Yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be beautiful. I'm curious to see what the ending for Bill Skarsgård's character is because he's still alive.
Oh, he's not making it out of this one. There's no way. I do not believe so.
Right, but somehow
I'm putting him in the death category for my personal prediction here.
Yeah, but there's so many, and like that's Andor has so many beautiful things about it. I feel like my brain keeps jumping back and forth between things, but it's just like we know.
Agreed. A martyr for the rebels.
Kind of like what we've talked about before is like we know how the character for like Cassian Andor, we know what the story is. We know all the pieces that are somehow going to need to line up to Rogue One. But there's also so many pieces that, like Luthien, like there's so many things that we don't know shit about. Like the fucking the dude whose name I can't remember, who got demoted and now works in the stupid little government job, and he has the hard-on for
Cyril Khan.
Cyril, bro, like what's ever going to happen to him? Is he going to kill his mom? Is he not going to kill his mom?
The whole thing ended with him rescuing Dedra Meero at Rick during the uprising, and like, is he going to get recognized for that and elevated to a position of power within the Imperial machine, or is he just going to get like chewed up and spit out like he did the first time? Is he going to change things for Dedra Meero? Like, I have a ton of questions about him. I find his character to be both like one of the most compelling and one of the most like cringy, like horrifying to watch because it's such a relatable, like that guy exists. You know what I mean?
And we all know
that guy. Yeah. It's pretty hard, but I think the whole show watching it is going to be like a really, like season 1 was a really rewarding and sometimes grueling experience. Like they really put you in Cassian's shoes and like the things that he goes through. And it gives you like a different, almost a more nuanced level of perspective for like why the Empire is as evil as it is. Like we know it's evil, but sometimes like the extent of it can kind of get lost in the pew pew of it all. You know, it's all quite exciting and we're like, you know, with the action, but what about the people who aren't constantly having firefights? The people who just have to live these terrible lives under the boot of the stormtroopers, you know? And I think season 2 is going to bring it to like another level. I think it might not have the same level of like critical impact with audiences just because Andor season 1 really came out of left field and people weren't expecting that kind of content to come from a Star Wars story. And so people were just blown away by it because their expectations, you know, were at a different place. I'm not going to say that they're low for Star Wars, but they're in a different place for the kind of storytelling that traditionally comes from Star Wars. And so yeah.
Crystal Kyber, we all know him. We all know a Cyril.
Yeah, legit.
Especially right now, we all know a Cyril. And you know,
I don't think we're even going to see him in the next season, and it's going to be so like, it's going to be cruel. They're not going to tell us what happened to him. It'll just be a loose end, you know.
I think like the two biggest Empire things that I remember and just like take the most away from that show that just like stick in my mind is the bullshit interrogation that Sam Witwer cop and the
Niamos. Like, why are you running?
Why are you running?
Part of it.
Well, why are you sweating? Why you look like you're running from a crime if you didn't commit a crime,
hot, dude?
Like, bro, like what? There's no out. There's no out. Like,
no, it was he was put in an unwinnable, and then he said hang, and he's just like choking against the wall. Dude, come on, man.
Taser floors. Like, wow, like we went there.
The taser floors were terrible. Those like orange and white hockey boots, kind of dope though. Like the boots they were wearing, like moon boots almost.
The security guards, yeah,
they were kind of fly. Terrible, but kind of slick, you know.
And the fact, oh man, and shout out again to the person on Twitter who did the side-by-side photos of the bedrooms from the Galactic Star Cruiser and the prison cell from Andor. Shout out to you, man. That's the comedic genius. That's the comedic
legit the same color scheme.
The scheme is so bad. It's so bad.
If the Halcyon Star Cruiser, if the Star Cruiser Hotel had lasted longer, I guarantee you some smartass would have gone there and changed into his Narkina 5 pajamas and like just been like on program in the hallway.
Dude, just mopping the floor, and then he's just like randomly in the bathroom barefoot. And he's just like at it again, or just like, yeah. He asks, they like, some random server be like, "Yo, can I hold your tray here? Right? Like, can I hold your food tray real quick?" Be like, selfie.
They'll just hang on Cyril. It'd be nearly impossible to fathom the level of failure from a creative team that seems impervious to failure. That wouldn't do it. They're not on Cyril. I don't think they'll leave us hanging on him. I think Kino, they're going to leave us hanging on them. Yeah. Like Cyril, I think is like really integral to the story they're trying to tell. Tony Gilroy has big plans for Cyril. That's what I think. Dude, oh my God, the countermeasures on Luthen's ship, though, like the little spinny blades. Like the little laser
laser, yes. The cut all like hypofocus.
All of the like the chaff that flew out and like jammed into the radar dish. That was so cool. That was one of the coolest,
really
like
that was very Batman. Dude, that was very like 70s Batmobile, like shoot stuff from the back of the car sort of a thing. But
exactly
say I will die on this fucking hill that the little side things weren't lightsabers.
No, they were lasers.
Yeah, there's still some people who are like, man, it's kind of stupid to have lightsabers at the end of your shit. And I'm like, bro, did you not see Iron Man 2? Like, have you not seen a fucking
they're tire poppers,
water cutter before? Like, goddamn.
They're like the evil car in Greece.
Yeah,
and they're doing the big race, and the spikes came out the side.
Exactly. But yeah, no, it was brilliant to use. It was also like physics and science of like, oh, cool. If they're going to use a tractor beam on me, they're going to use something that's based on weight and metal and mass. Like, I'm just going to chuck all this.
Well, because like people were like, what if they're infinite lasers? And he literally just cut the galaxy in half. He just bisected all of existence with these
he made a black
lasers. They went through planets. They went through like asteroids. They went through some poor kid, some poor innocent child somewhere. Like Luthen just, he did it all, man. It doesn't make sense. I'm sure that they're like small controllable lasers. If lightsaber technology exists, then you could make little spikes come off your ship. Like, I think it's plausible enough. Star Wars follows the rule of cool, so it doesn't need to necessarily hold up to scientific scrutiny. But it like if it makes a 12-year-old go, wow, that's cool, then it's done its job.
Woodsy, hold on. Okay, well, yeah, hold on. Read that one first. Cyril's redemption is gonna hit like spice. Who says Cyril's getting a redemption? Like what?
Cyril's what?
What?
What now?
You think Cyril's going to join the rebellion by the end of that? Would be the biggest like M. Night Shyamalan plot twist of all time. Like he gets with his ISB agent girlfriend, and he's all of a sudden like, you know what? Maybe we are the baddies. Maybe I don't want.
Yeah, he finally gets everything he's always wanted, and then he's like, you know what? This sucks. Actually.
This sucks. Something's not
I'm going to be a rebel.
Yeah.
If Cyril Karn ends up like nobly sacrificing himself for the rebel cause somehow.
That'd be fantastic.
It would be amazing, but I just no.
Not a chance. Not this time. It never happened. It never happened. It's false. No way. Not this time. Not this time. No, not this time. It's totally made up. Pure fiction. It's fiction. It's fiction.
It's pure fiction. It's fiction. It was created by a group of writers in a lab.
It's an urban legend.
It's an urban legend.
I think there's
Cyril becomes a member. Yeah, he's the one that shoots. He's the blaster.
Yeah, he is.
Out.
Ted, I got your voucher.
Out!
Only because Deidre decides, bro, are you kidding me? Deidre's working with like the biggest of the badasses right now. We get to see fucking my brain totally forgot that like Deidre's boss is Kymir. Like she's with the coolest Meister, like
Qyburn, you mean?
Yeah, dude, making zombie mountains, like
major Partagas. That's his name.
Man. Like there's too much, and I forget if it was this show that we kind of got to see the outline, or no, I guess that was Mando season 3 that we got to see a little bit of Krennic, or like, well, Andor season 2, Krennic should show up too.
Krennic should show up. Krennic will probably show up in season 2. It would make sense. He's becoming more and more relevant to the plot. I think you're thinking of Bad Batch was the last time Krennic popped up anywhere. He was at the
which
hologram
show?
meeting. It was when it was on Ariadu at the big meeting
yeah.
of Moffs where
Yeah.
Tech, that place. That's where we saw Krennic. And there was a big debate among the fans of whether or not they actually brought him back or if they used an unused voice take, because it's very easy to do that in animation. I wanted to respond to Brent's comment here. Based on Tony Gilroy's not so much interest in bringing in existing characters, I don't think we will see Hera or the Rebels crew at any point. What's your thoughts? I think you are correct. We will not be seeing Hera or the Rebels crew, but we might see Dutch Vander, Gold Leader, who is the one in charge of the convoy who brings Mon Mothma to the Rebels after the Gorman massacre. She speaks out publicly against Palpatine and has to flee. They're going to cover that time period because that happens, before Rogue One, and we're leading right up to Rogue One in season 2. That being the case, I would imagine that we might get to see Gold Leader from A New Hope again, taking her on her journey. But it would be like at the very end of the episode, he shows up and she gets on the transport, kind of thing. Yeah, but no, seeing Hera or the Rebels crew, I think that's a bridge too far. I don't think Tony Gilroy is going to go that deep into it personally.
Plus, they're off doing like more individual. I don't want to say the word fighting, but they're doing more individual like off-planet missions. I don't think they'd be necessarily the ones doing like random diplomatic like poster boy stuff for the rebellion. Like Ghost Crew's off doing their own thing.
I'm not sure who's going to give this season's banger monologue. I would put money on they did put money on Nemec. That's how he died, right? I would put money on I'd put money on Mon Mothma having the banger speech this time, though. Sorry, that just kind of slipped out. That was
hilarious. That was
horrible.
That was quite funny. That was, yes.
They do that though. Like they kill these people in these most ironic ways. He gives his manifesto and then gets like literally crushed by cash, by
credits,
by pallets of money. So maybe Luthen will give like a really specific and topical speech and then get killed by the thing he mentions. Same way,
Honestly, though, I
see him going down in a blaze of glory.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking, because of like how crazed his laughing was in one of the episodes. I don't remember which one it was, but like when he's putting on his wig and his costumes and he's like smiling and then just like hilarious, just like laughing in the closet.
The end of Aldani. It's when he hears on the radio for the first time the report that the heist actually happened, and he's like, it's happening. It's fine. He's just like full of euphoria. He's so elated. Like, someone who lives their life with so much extreme stress and pressure as him. Like, when it takes over you, like, God, Stellan Skarsgård's giving an incredible performance, man. Luthen Rail.
I think I'll definitely, like, as my brain is buffering, I think I agree with you. I think Mon Mothma is probably going to give like the best speech or the best monologue throughout the show. And then 100% Skarsgård is going to just like do the biggest explosion or like do the biggest like impact.
I'm hoping he fucking crashes Star Destroyers into each other or something huge.
Right.
He like actually hits the Empire and they feel it.
Yeah, because we know that Saw Gerrera is going to survive this and like make it out to the movie.
Do you think we'll see Jyn Erso? Are we going to see Jyn Erso?
Do we think we'll see Jyn, like baby Jyn?
Or young-ish Jyn?
If we were to see youngish Jyn, wouldn't she already be arrested right now? Wouldn't she be in prison?
She's in the Wobani prison camp for like 6 or 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
And we're doing a bunch of time skipping. So like maybe we'll see her. No, you're right. The closer we get to Rogue One, the less likely it honestly is.
If anything, I think when it comes to Jyn Erso, we'll hear about her at the very, very last episode. And it'll be something like, oh, Cassian, your new mission is that we want you to,
exactly.
And infiltrate and like pick up this particular person named Jyn Erso, aka blah de blah.
We're gonna see Felicity Jones on like a dossier. You know what I mean? Yeah, totally. That's the way they're gonna do it. I agree with that. I feel like his final speech is going to be a proud and joyful version of his everything speech. I hope you're right. That sounds very optimistic. I'm not sure Luthen's going to have anything proud and joyful to talk about. Like, he's not going to live to see the good stuff. And like he kind of acknowledged that in his last speech.
Absolutely.
He's like, we're going to win someday, but I'm not going to be there to see it.
Yeah, dude. He said,
I don't feel like he's going to die celebrating. I feel like he's going to die being like, oh, I hope this works. I guess I'll never find out.
He shares his dreams with ghosts, like what is it? His mind is a sunless space. Like, bro, you don't like. Come on, there's nothing. Yeah, no. His biggest hurrah would be like going out as hard as he can with the biggest like fuck you empire as he can. But what I was going to say though is like Cassian, when we left in season 1, he's still not on board. Like he's still not fully rebel yet. So like if anything, whatever
he's officially recruited in like the final scene.
Yeah, like whatever speech or monologue that happens that really pushes him over the edge, I don't think that happens yet. Because I think probably, if anything, when they kill...
You're talking about Luthen or Cassian?
Cassian.
You don't think Cassian has been pushed over the edge of joining the rebels yet?
Not quite yet. Like, I think he just sees it as like a means to an end sort of a thing. But like, because what's her name who got tortured with like the psychic, like the screaming, the constant screaming thing, she's not dead yet. When she dies, that'll be like the pushing point. He still thinks that he can save her, and like he's only
you're right. Rebellion. I mean, so, I feel like Marva's death was the first like thing to radicalize him.
That's going to be the thing, 100%.
And now he knows about that. And so if he loses Bix, it's like, well, because Bix is safe apparently. He put them all on the ship and they got them all out of there, and we don't really know where they're going to end up yet. But yeah, we've got a release date now for Andor. It's gonna start like popping up more and more in conversation as we think about it more and more, leading back into it. We're gonna have to get through Skeleton Crew first. It'll be the next thing to come out after Skeleton Crew. There was some other Star Wars news that I want to talk about just before we get into our Agatha discussion here. Deadline released an article on Thursday talking about a potential new Star Wars trilogy. Like all straight up episode 10 through 12, like new Star Wars movies coming out. According to the article, they are to be written by Star Wars Rebels writer Simon Kinberg.
Nice. Okay. Looking
at the other things that he has written, I actually haven't seen any of them. Like I don't really know him outside of Rebels, but he did 2 X-Men movies and the most recent Fantastic Four.
Like the one that's being made currently, like with
the one that came out with Whiplash dude. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-mm.
It was not well received. I know that, but I never actually saw it.
Oh, like the most recent one. Okay, I think.
Yeah, and then the 2 X-Men movie was Dark Phoenix and Apocalypse.
Okay, I mean, okay.
There was a reaction there. I haven't seen these movies, so tell me about it. Should we worried about this? Fantastic. Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
I mean, Dark Phoenix was not great.
Okay. I trust you. I trust you implicitly when it comes to Marvel taste because I don't know.
Apocalypse had... Actually, I think Apocalypse was good. Apocalypse had, like, potential. What did Apocalypse dirty was, I think, some of the costume design and just some of the overall...
Interesting.
The visual choice and appearance for some characters. Like, for example... fucking Poe Dameron plays the main villain of Apocalypse.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Phenomenal job. He does an absolutely phenomenal job. The only bad thing about him is that Apocalypse looks like Ivan Ooze from the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie. And it's just like, bro, like you had everything there. Like you had...
Was that a budget problem? Was that a decision that was made? Like,
I don't know. And then Sansa Stark, like, I mean...
Right, I forgot she was in those movies.
Yeah, Sansa Stark plays Jean Grey. She plays Phoenix.
Okay,
and
okay.
Just like, I feel like they kind of casted her just to like sort of try to pull in like more viewers in a way. They're like, oh, if we cast this person, maybe we'll get that fan base to like see our shit.
Get the Game of Thrones fans to watch our movie, kind of.
Yeah, and so it's just like, I mean, I think she did a good job as a young Jean Grey, but Dark Phoenix was just like such a It was such a tragedy.
It sounds like visually the problems were mostly like art direction and costume design. How was the writing? What was the dialogue like? What are we in for in terms
Dialogue
of
was
Simon Kinberg being
bad.
the writer here?
Like everything about Dark Phoenix was bad.
Okay. Okay.
Everything about Dark Phoenix.
I'm looking for a silver lining here. I'm not finding one.
Yeah,
I haven't seen these movies. I don't know these things.
Like,
I mean, the episodes of Star Wars Rebels that he's written are pretty good. But again, like it's a completely different beast. And
yeah,
it's not a
so
live action film trilogy.
so depending on which episodes of Rebels he did, like it could be something where like they're really good at Star Wars, but they're not good in these other particular like genres.
Strengths and weaknesses. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Or not genres, but like stories or fandoms or whatever.
Yeah, styles. Sure.
I mean,
so here's the this is the Deadline article. This is what we know about the Star Wars trilogy that's currently in development. Exclusive, Lucasfilm has closed the deal with Simon Kinberg to develop a trilogy of Star Wars films. Kinberg will write the trio and produce them with Lucasfilm chief Kathleen Kennedy.
okay.
And not her twin sister, by the way. I've made that mistake.
Yeah.
I heard this will comprise episodes 10 through 12 of the Skywalker saga that began with George Lucas's 77th first film, which, along with Steven Spielberg's Jaws, reshaped the global blockbuster game, etc., etc. Okay, so I've heard conflicting things about this because this article, the Deadline article, says that this will continue the Skywalker saga. However, other sources are saying that it is not connected to the Skywalker saga, and it's its own story. It's just set chronologically after the Skywalker saga. And it could just boil down to a turn of phrase, whether they're saying that to talk about a timeline or if they're talking about the story itself will be about some Skywalkers, you know? We can't really surmise that so well from this, but I'm thinking they're just talking timeline-wise. This is set after, you know, it's continuing that timeline. Kinberg previously worked on Lucasfilm and co-creating with Dave Filoni and Carrie Beck the Emmy-nominated animated series Star Wars Rebels that ran for 4 seasons from 2014 to 2018. He was also a consultant on Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, the J.J. Abrams directed film that revived the franchise in 2015. Okay, so he's no stranger to Star Wars, sure. I do think that there's a lot of really exciting things that the writing does in Star Wars Rebels in terms of like concepts and things that they lean into, and a lot of it is Filoni. A lot of it is Filoni's influence, but like a lot of the cool space whale stuff and the mysticism and like the whole legend of Lyrasan and how like they literally like unravel an entire prophecy to find a hidden planet. Like it's so cool and it's so out there and it's not hard sci-fi at all. It's very much space fantasy. And so if we could get a trilogy of movies that really lean into the space fantasy instead of necessarily making it like as gritty or as warlike as it's been, that could be really exciting. And that could be a really interesting departure from most of the trilogies that we've done. Obviously, we've explored these kinds of things in shows and comics and like short form storytelling, but getting an entire trilogy of movies about like a witch main character, for example, or like something outside of the Jedi Order, but like proper weird and just like alien and out there.
Yes.
I think that could be really exciting. So obviously we need to learn more about this new trilogy, but it sounds like there could be some pretty cool things in there.
Yeah. Going through the chat and like letting my brain buffer a little bit. I do see Woodsy, I do see your comment of like Apocalypse. Apocalypse has the best Magneto writing in my opinion. It's true. Okay, so for anyone goddamn, man. Okay, so like for anyone who watched Breaking Bad, like, dude, Jesse, everything, he just gets the shit beat out of him. Like Jesse never has a good episode. Jesse Pinkman. Yeah, Jesse Pinkman. He never has a good day.
He goes through it, man.
That's Magneto. Like that's the Holocaust survivor. And then all of a sudden, you just have Poe Dameron, who's like the most overpowered, like ego god mutant of all time. And he's just like, oh, my son, like, you survived the Holocaust? Like, oh, dude, you mean the humans keep killing your children and, like, keep killing your wife? And, like, oh, man, that's so horrible. Here, let me give you the power to just throw Earth off of its polarity so you could just kill everyone. And he's just like, yeah.
That's so much magnetic power. But
epic. Like, having Fassbender as Magneto is just, like, fucking just glorious. Fucking glorious as casting as it is, and having James McAvoy as Professor Xavier was really good. It was a really good call. But something else that was really great about Apocalypse was the way that they did Nightcrawler, the way that they did Angel and Archangel. There was a really cool fight between Angel and Nightcrawler in like these underground like mutant slave cockfighting rings, essentially. And it's like the way that they were able to.
I think you can just call them fighting rings.
Well, because so it's literally like a cage, and then they have the cage like tied up to giant car batteries, so it's electrified. So like,
shit, okay,
mutants can't escape, and if they choose not to fight, they'll just kill them both. So no, they're enslaved and they're forced to fight. So it's definitely
that's intense. That's intense.
But yeah, Oscar Isaac, like he did good. He did good. Like Magneto, he just felt it, man. Like every time, like
I did see him in his first time playing Magneto. I did watch that one.
That was glorious. He was killing Nazis left and right, and it was it was fantastic thing ever. But
there was a comment here about the Skywalker Saga trilogy. I don't know if it is in fact supposed to be part of Rey's. It's not Rey's trilogy. That is another movie that's in development. I think Rey may be present in this trilogy, but what I'm hearing is that she's supposed to be more of like the Obi-Wan role.
Yeah.
Kind of a mentor for whoever the new main character of this trilogy turns out to be. Yeah, I think it is. I think it is someone else. Underground mutant cockfighting Bendu 2024.
Yeah, I'll end that shit. I'll end that shit immediately. And all sanctions.
When is that Disney Plus show coming out? Sign me up.
Nightcrawler looked great. My only issue with the way that they had Archangel look is that his wings could have been bigger. That's my only thing. Is like they could have made his wings bigger.
Sure.
But like even the writing, it's like it was entertaining to watch. Like ultimately, it's just like visually, I wish things looked a little bit better. But like it's definitely one of those movies you could just sit down and like watch through. And it's one of the few times that fucking Scott Summers, Cyclops, isn't just fucking obnoxious and isn't a Boy Scout, because it's like he just gets recruited in that movie. So it's like it's
right.
Good. It's a fun one. Definitely way better than Dark Phoenix, but like, yeah, it was good shit.
I'm excited for it. For whatever it turns out to be. I have not actually seen it, and I probably will end up watching Dark Phoenix and Apocalypse just so that I can understand, where everyone else is coming from with these movies, and also because I want more examples of Simon Kinberg's writing before I sit down and go into this trilogy too. But talking about all this X-Men and all this Marvel is the perfect segue into the main thing we want to talk about here, which is Agatha All Along. The series has concluded. We have watched every episode. We are in full witch mode here at the podcast. Everything's all purple. I'm reporting to you from the Witch's Road itself. Take it away, Bendu. What did you think, first of all, just overall? What did you think of Agatha All Along?
I kind of wish, the show was amazing. I kind of wish that we had Nikki and Amanda, who we met at the Acolyte premiere, because they would be the best podcast guests to talk to about it. Dude, Jack Schaefer, man, the writer, and I think she also directed WandaVision, just made us feel everything again with Agatha. And it's just like, dude, like watching this show, I felt kind of the same amount of joy as like watching the first few seasons of Dexter, because it's like, he's a serial killer, like this person is a bad person, but
right.
You just
root for them anyway.
Enjoy watching them, and you're just like, oh yeah, I would totally be friends with this person still. But it's like, dude, they don't want to be friends with you. There's nothing like that makes them seem like they want to be friends with you. And just like, yeah, no, it was. I'm like pulling up Disney Plus now just to kind of see, because we had, how many episodes did they gave us? They gave us 9 episodes. So again, 9 episodes. Yes. Thank you, Disney.
It's a nice amount. It's a nice amount. Usually we've been getting 6, and that's kind of rough.
Each episode was roughly 39 to 44 to 49 minutes long. Fucking phenomenal. That's so much
decent length.
Time. you were able to give us such a glorious story, and the cast, like, man.
I like the cast. I thought all the witches did a really, really good job. I thought Teen did a really good job too. Absolutely.
I was gonna say we can call him by his real name, like, okay, but also isn't Billy short for William anyway?
Yes, it is. Was that a coincidence that the dead kid's name was William? Was that a coincidence? Or was that maybe how he found the kid? Like the spell involved the name and it like found a match real quick?
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. So what's also interesting when it comes to the X-Men thing was at the end of not Dark Phoenix, but like the original X-Men trilogy with Patrick Stewart.
Right. I have seen those.
Whatever that last Phoenix movie was, there was like part of Moira McTaggart's whole thesis was like, is it ethical or unethical if we have a body? So say someone's an organ donor and they go brain dead. Is it ethical to put the consciousness of another person into an empty body? Like, does that count as like, are you resurrecting that person? Are you taking their body away? Like, what is it wrong, or is it okay to do that? It's wrong. That's fair because they're brain dead. They can't give consent.
Yeah, you have to give consent.
But if you're an organ donor,
well, then I guess if you give consent to that, you do.
Yeah, sorry, I'm like getting off camera comments, but yeah. So at the end of the movie, though, spoiler alert: Professor Xavier dies by I forget how the fuck he dies, but
Wanda snaps his neck. I've seen that part.
No, no, I think does Phoenix kill her? Does Jean kill Professor Xavier? I think so. Anyway, regardless, at the end of that like last X-Men trilogy, Professor Xavier puts his consciousness into the brain dead comatose body and is just like Moira, and then like that it becomes the whole thing of like, is Professor Xavier actually dead or not? So
yeah, exactly. Just like L337 being put into the hyperdrive of the Millennium Falcon, becoming the ship computer.
Yeah. So it's like, because William Kaplan did die. Like that was like his body, his consciousness, he didn't survive that car crash. So I think, and the fact that the car crash was kind of not inspired, but it happens because the drivers and everyone in the car was watching the hex as it was like they were distracted and they died. So I think it was like kind of an inadvertent like domino effect of like
I don't think that Billy caused the death to happen so he could do that. He just got lucky, reached out and found that happening in that moment.
Yes.
It's a really hard thing to try and visually articulate to us, the audience, and have us understand what's happening in that moment. And I think that they did a pretty good job with that. Like, you could tell what's happening. Like, how do you visually depict magic in a way that everyone's going to know exactly what's happening? You know, but they figured it out. Like we did. We're like, oh, okay, new body in like new mind in same body. Got it.
Yeah. SC. Yeah. Tara Bibi. Yeah. It's right. Like those parents don't know that their son's dead. They didn't get their son back after that coma. Right. You know. And I think they kind of like had that little freak out in the kitchen when
they knew that their son was a different person now, but they meant it more metaphorically, like his brain is different. They didn't think of it on a spiritual like level like it really was.
Yeah. So it's like they still kind of like have to handle that mentality of like, oh, you're not my little boy, like, you know, like you are like you don't remember anything, so it's like, you know, we can't talk to you, like there's no more inside jokes, you know, like we have to start everything from scratch. But you know,
talk about a complicated way of recasting a character.
Dude, okay, so I was thinking about that the whole time because I was like, dude, like why didn't they just use the kid? Why didn't they just use the same kid? Like the kid's at the same age. He looks right. He did a great job in WandaVision.
They even brought the kid back for the flashback.
Yeah, they did bring him. Well, that was his younger self. Like right now, he's still.
No, that was a different actor. That wasn't this. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
But yeah, no, the way that everything. I mean, spoiler alert. We're gonna talk about spoilers. We're gonna be talking about every fucking episode. So it's like
let me fire up send up the flare.
Dude, Patti LuPone Patty LuPone.
Best performance in the whole damn thing.
Man.
Patty LuPone.
Lilia, fucking the
Her
divination
episode,
witch Lilia, bro.
Her episode where we learned about how she exists outside of time was beautiful. I think that was really like, because I was on the cusp with this show for most of my watching of it, but I think that was the moment where I was fully invested and I realized, like, okay, this is actually awesome. She won me over the most, definitely.
Like, but the fact that she put up the sigil,
yeah, it really was.
The fact that like there's so much, there's so many different layers, and I love that the first 7 episodes, like, you know, again, Jack Schaefer, same with WandaVision, like we get to be put on this amazing journey. We're kind of figuring out everyone's traumas. We're kind of giving everybody, in a way, what they needed and what they wanted from the road. But again, there was no guarantee that any of it was actually going to come to like fruition. And just
what about that twist though? The fact that the road wasn't even real.
The fact that all of it was just a projection of Billy's mind and Billy's power.
But before that, like the Legend of the Road, it was just Agatha fucking around and like
being a serial killer.
Just being a serial killer, yeah. There isn't even some like witch explanation. Oh, she's actually doing such and such ritual. No, she's just a serial killer of witches. That's all it is.
She created this song, like her and her son created this song to draw people in, just so she could take advantage of them and kill them. Like, fucking
R.I.P. Davis,
bro.
It was Agatha all along. The entire Witch's Road was Agatha all along, because of course.
Well, the Witch's Road wasn't Agatha all along. That ended up just being Billy. But I love the fact
that but the only reason Billy manifested it is because he'd heard about it, and he heard about it because it was Agatha all along. It's the only reason it existed in the first place for him to manifest.
For the meta of it, yes, that is.
Because you brought up the song, I want to talk about the song for a second. I do appreciate that that it was so simple. It was such a simple song that it makes it easy to like reconfigure it in all these different genres and styles and iterations, because we heard the song over and over again and it was like done in a different way. We hear it as a nursery rhyme, as a whistle, as like a folk rock song, as like a chant. And I thought that was really clever. I thought that the actual, like musically, what they constructed was like a really good framework that fits into so many things. Having said that, after probably maybe the third time that I heard it, I was ready to never hear the song again. Like it did not grow on me the way it's grown on a lot
people.
Like,
I listened to that shit full blast in my car.
I got sick of it so fast, man.
I wish I had like the lungs to just belt the down from Patty LuPone. Like, dude, again, like there's some other content creators that we follow on Instagram that's just like that's their shit. That's their jam.
And I love that for them. I couldn't get into the.
I still get goosebumps listening to the full cast song. Not necessarily like the folk song lullaby version.
Ironically, that's the one that I like. The Lorna Wu one. That's the one that I did like.
Version,
I was like, this is pretty sweet.
Oh, god damn. But Lunar Mist, I was literally about to say that. Poor boy got spooked. Dude, I love the freak out so hard because oh my god, that actor did the most Looney Tunes, fucking Tom and Jerry, like Scooby-Doo. He did the thing where like he's just moving and he's trying to run, but his body
is spinning in a circle and he's not going anywhere.
Yeah, and just because of like the fucking scary arms breaking through the window, and he's like, "All right, gotta go." Like, is that it? All right, cool.
Have you ever been that scared that you've gone full blown like Wile E. Coyote?
No,
I don't think I ever have either. Like that was a sight to see. Yeah. I really appreciated that about the ballad version too, and I do think the ballad version is my favorite version of the song. Someone pointed out to me the similarity between down the road and row row your boat, and that just flattened it for me. There was no coming back. But it's okay because like I don't know. It was a good enough song that they could like I said, they could turn it into all these different genres, and you can't do that with every melody. So it was very clever what they came up with in that way, I think. I was going to talk about that next. Actually, I was going to talk about that next. Go for it.
I was gonna say we're like, oh my god! Again, talk about acting, right? Talk about acting, pretending. Like, first off, like, how was it? I think just everyone in the group was just collectively terrified, or they were too terrified to really pause and just start to ask questions because they were like, if we stop, we die. If we don't do everything within this time period, like, we're just dead. We're just let's just go to the end. I don't care who anybody is. I don't care about what's going on. Let's just get to the
Tunnel
fucking
vision,
end
just
and
on
let's
the
go.
mission. Sure.
But like, dude, the fact that both of them, both Rio and Agatha, knew the entire time that the road was fake, that they just pretended and they were just like glorious. Like, they neither of them broke character, neither of them said a word.
No,
because
it's like witches
they
kayfabe.
were constantly doing their own, like they were constantly in their own relationship still, and like constantly
Yep.
still trying to figure out their own beef, and like all these other
They-
witches like happen to be here.
Sometimes you get so much context after the fact that it makes the original interaction like straight up bizarre. Like in this case, the first time Rio and Agatha interact on the show, like they have a fight.
Yeah.
She tries to kill her, and it's very like there's a lot of like quips and bravado, and like they're straight up flirting with each other. And at the time you're like, okay, she's got this like frenemy adversary that like they're kind of cute on each other, but also they fight all the time, whatever. And then when you find out she's Death, you're like, okay, that's badass that she has
The
this
fucking
kind of
embodiment, fucking avatar.
But then when you learn how she met Death and how Death is connected to like the greatest grief and suffering of her entire existence, now it's kind of weird that she's like palling around with Death, fighting in a kitchen somewhere, having like cracking one-liners. It's like, this bitch took your son away. Like, and now you guys are like, oh, you know, like,
not necessarily, because like it wasn't that Death took her son away from her. It's that kind of like what she said to Billy when she's pushing Billy through the resurrection ritual for Tommy, like, Agatha, am I killing this boy? And she's like, no, sometimes boys just die. Sometimes people just die, regardless of what we want.
I'm not saying that Death was responsible for it, but at the same time, like, how is Agatha able to divorce the memory of the worst moment of her life, of like pleading and crying and sobbing to Death not to take the soul of her child? How do you look at Rio and not go through that again? How do you look at Rio and not immediately relive that worst moment? And here she is, like, flirting in a kitchen with this person, having a little fight, like a tussle. Like, and I get that they didn't want the audience to know all that baggage, like, straight away, because that's heavy, you know? They wanted to introduce her and have that twist for later. But once we know the twist, once we learn the context, you go back to that first interaction and you're like, how are you guys in this place? You know? Is it just because Agatha is so compartmentalized that like it's just locked in a box somewhere deep down in her psyche? Like,
yes.
Like it felt like it was almost too far the other direction. It's like she's overcompensating, you know? And again, Rio just goes along with it because that's what she does the whole show. Like, she knows the road's not real and she never questions it. She just takes Agatha's lead and helps and continues to dupe these other witches, thinking it's just more of the same old.
Gives her souls, you know? It gives Death purpose.
That's a good way to look at it. That is a good perspective. She's toying with Rio's emotions the whole time.
Yeah. Because like,
I mean, and that is what I believe, and that's what you really see. But like, and I again, it's because they want the audience to not know everything all at once. But I rewatching that first, I don't see the hate. And I know that's Agatha's way. That's her delivery. Is everything's kind of a little playful, a little bit like mischievous.
Well, she never answered.
There should be like a
visceral
freaking hate there.
So here's also, but like, okay, so with your question, I'll kind of ask you with another question, of which Rio also asked, and Agatha never gave a fucking answer, or maybe she did. I just don't remember the answer. Because Rio was like, okay, so
that makes sense.
Why let everyone believe that you traded your unborn son's soul for the Darkhold? Like, why tell that lie?
I understand that completely, because that's the exact same reason why Ozzy Osbourne let everyone believe that he actually bit the head off of a bat in a concert in the 70s. because
And he did.
it
That was an accident.
no, he didn't. No, he didn't. It didn't. No, see, even you believe it. Everyone fucking believes it. It did not happen. And D. Snyder called him on the phone and said, "Hey, don't ever tell anyone it's not real." And it boosted his street cred, and he became even more famous over it, which is exactly what you want as a musician. As a
I
witch,
don't know, man.
you want to boost the street cred.
Like,
You don't want other witches to mess with you. Oh, I sold my own
man.
son for powers. You don't want to mess with me. Like, why would you want to challenge that if it makes you seem like a badass? You know,
That's true. It does
helps her for people to think that, because they're like, "Oh, I'm not dealing with her. She did that to her own flesh and blood." That helps you if they believe
That's
that.
true.
It helps Ozzy Osbourne's career to have people think that he bit
awful.
the head off a bat.
That's true. I mean, so because the truth is too awful. That's true. But at the same time, like, man, kid could have had cancer. The kid could have had fucking, like, it was the 1700s. Kids could have fucking, that kid could have had like yellow fever.
That kid could have died from stubbing his toe.
Yeah,
all right?
dude.
Like medicine back then, forget about it.
Yeah, but I think, again, exactly what you said, like, Agatha compartmentalized, and she was just like, look, I had a son, I gave birth, that was the most emotionally traumatizing thing in my life. I never want to do that again. I never want to go through being a mother again. I'm just going to focus on my job and be a workaholic, and I'm going to be killing people. We're going to be killing people out here.
I mean, that was the plan. And once, yeah, he was definitely sick. We saw him coughing a couple times. Like, they made a point of it. But like, once she lost him, there was no point to anything anymore. And she just continued doing what she was doing. Kind of like whenever you hear about ghosts and hauntings, people are caught in like a loop.
Bro, Agatha's mom. Can we talk about Agatha's mom for a fucking second with the
that was
episode, bro?
That was wild.
Oh,
that was wild.
Okay.
Yeah, please.
So also, I'll bring up. So I have to ask you the question. Oh man, if you're a parent and you know that your kid is a serial killer, do you institutionalize your child? Or do you just kind of like hope for the best and let your child just grow up to be an adult? And like, if they end up killing cats and killing people, you're just like, oh, well, I don't know.
Or do you go the Dexter route, like Dexter's dad, and try and train him to be like a serial killer vigilante?
Yeah, but Agatha's mom didn't do that. Agatha's mom, like, I'm like, we're like us as the viewer, right? Like,
Agatha's mom is what witches think Agatha is. She actually was ready to get rid of. Yeah, no,
exactly.
She was ready to get rid of that straight away.
Mom. She's horrible. But at the same time, Agatha's mom's like, I've been telling you since day one. This girl's.
Thank
horrible.
you, Jason. You knew what I was trying to say, even though I did not finish the point. That's exactly what I was.
It was a ghost for hundreds of years before she died. Yeah, dude. Well,
because that's what I was trying to say. Ghosts are caught in a loop. They do the same thing over and over and over again because there's nothing before or after it anymore. And so she's just luring witches to their doom on the fake road. That is her loop. That's all she's got.
But it makes her power stronger, though, and it builds up her
power to do what? She has nothing she wants to do with it. She's just collecting power for nothing.
That's true.
She's not even trying to bring her son back with that power.
No,
she's just accumulating it.
Yeah, because she wants to be stronger than death. I think is like okay. So let's separate comic book Agatha Harkness from just what we got to see from Catherine Hahn, Agatha Harkness, for a second, all right? Because I also don't really know shit about comic book Agatha Harkness.
I don't really know about that.
But either, from doing like a psychoanalysis of like looking at Catherine Hahn's character, if you never want to be like, if you never want to, like, if you've just like closed off, you're like, all right, I never want to like do that whole motherhood thing again, and you're just like, I'm going to be on business all time, every time. If you begrudgingly hate death, your greatest, like, fuck you, could be make yourself so powerful or immortal that you don't die. So I think that's like ultimately her end game. And then like, why would she go to Mephisto? Why would she go to like one of the demon hell lords to get the Darkhold? Also, I'm fucking pissed off that we never got that answer. Is like, how's the Darkhold?
They didn't answer it. No.
Oh my God, Jack Schaefer. Like, out of everything, like, that's just the weird little tidbit of information. Like, there's not even going to be a Marvel What If episode about that. It's going to be something weird like, what if Agatha was like a celestial, or not a celestial? What if Agatha was like one of the Eternals or some shit? Like it's gonna be something like weird and like it's gonna be weird. It's gonna be absolutely out there because it's Marvel. What if?
What if Agatha was Sorcerer Supreme?
But fuck, that'd be funny. If it was, it'd be the same thing as the current comic books with Doctor Doom being the Sorcerer Supreme. But but also we're gonna break that down too of like what is a wizard, what is a witch, what is a sorcerer. Because
explain that for me because I am like I admit a little confused about the
because like so like with what we saw from Catherine Hahn again, I'm kind of like I think that's what the thing is. Yeah, if Agatha died, she would have to face death. So being a ghost would have choice for Agatha too. Well, Agatha being a ghost has to deal with unfinished business, but also like her not being ready to move on yet. But again, if you're in love with it's one of those frenemies love-hate relationship things, man. Like. One of them, it's the run, it's the chase. That's what it's called. It's the chase, the lover's chase.
Yeah, the pursuit.
Constantly going back and forth. So I think that's kind of like the romanticism with them because it's like she just wants to get more powerful because she doesn't want to die and she doesn't want to face all the people that she's killed, like just to keep on going.
Over the centuries.
Right?
So many witches. But she killed more witches than died at Salem.
Yeah, but she killed half. Well, she potentially killed half the witches of Salem. But
no, I'm saying more witches died at her hands than died in the Salem witch trials.
Died in Salem. Yes, absolutely.
She killed more than the Puritans did.
Yeah. So, but it's interesting. So, like because like there's the D&D definition of like what each of those things are, and then there's like the Marvel version of kind of what we've been given and shown so far, and it's
my understanding is that a wizard casts spells that he has studied and learned from books and scrolls.
Yeah.
A sorcerer casts magic from their fingertips.
Yeah.
And then warlock versus witch versus everything else that I am not clear on.
Yeah, so it's like with a warlock, you D&D wise, so like as a warlock, you're getting your power from other other entities outside interdimensional forces, and
right, you have a patron.
They give you like your grimoire, and then like with wizards, you don't have innate magic, so you're just spending years studying and like doing shit. But as a sorcerer, you have the innate magic; you can just do it naturally.
So what's a mage? A wizard's just a mage that went to college, right?
I think a mage is just an overall term. I think it's just a blanket.
Really? It's just that's an umbrella term.
Yeah. Okay. So like, I mean, so is in terms of like the MCU, like the Marvel movies versus D&D, like I would definitely say Doctor Strange is more on like the wizard aspect because he didn't know that he doesn't have any innate powers like the ancient.
It's all study and practice.
It's all study and practice. Yeah. Whereas in the comic books, Doctor Strange is totally more like a warlock because his patron is the Vishanti.
Right. I was about to say the Vishanti
allow him powers. To, like get more magic powers. Yeah, and then like
so a warlock is basically like a funky paladin, right? Like a funky magic paladin.
Yeah.
Yeah. That puts it in terms I can understand.
Right. So, but as a sorcerer, that's kind of where Wiccan comes in and where Wanda comes in because their magic was literally like. It comes out of them like they're created from it because of it. I don't know.
It makes them sorcerers.
Fucking hard. Yeah, it makes them more sorcerers. But with the witches, a lot of their stuff really comes from studying nature and innate power. So, like, I feel like they're definitely a little bit more on the sorcerer spectrum, coincidentally, because it was like Agatha had the power to do stuff already. But it wasn't until she got the dark hole that she really started to become like uber powerful and uber strong.
But isn't there a patron aspect to being a witch with Mother Earth and like Gaia and the forces of nature? Isn't that like a patron relationship?
No.
Because usually it's like a communing and a summoning to draw. Like I request you bring forth this thing. It's not like I command this to happen. A sorcerer wields the surroundings. And a witch asks nicely for nature to do things. I feel like
that's true. Yes,
that's to me
that's a little bit more of a druid, behavior. Also.
Yes, druids are very respectful and harmonious with nature.
Whereas most witches
are like
are. Yeah. Whereas most witches are. Agatha definitely wasn't. She was definitely more on the spiritual side and like ritualistic side, and the homicidal side. But Wiccan and Scarlet Witch don't fully fit rules because they have power to rewrite the rules. Exactly, right? But like with Wanda, though, it's like in the movie,
Scarlet Witch is basically Q at this point.
Yeah, like she had the innate power, but then her innate power went Super Saiyan because Hydra scientists were fucking around an Infinity Stone, and then like gave her an upgrade. So it's like that's really tricky, man. And then out of the power of ether and out of the power of magic created Wiccan, and then as Wiccan's consciousness made out of magic is dying, wills itself into the body of an actual living human person. Like that's incredible. That's just absolutely incredible. Like,
it's you know what? I hate to sound like a one-note pony, but it absolutely makes me think of the Acolyte.
Oh yeah.
Conjuring life, right? Using magic, we'll say, to conjure life. And then that life becomes it transports itself into a physical manifestation, an actual body. What Scarlet Witch did is very similar to what Mother Anastasia did in the Coven. Like there's a lot of parallels that I'm seeing here with these two.
I fucking see you, dude. Yeah, no, Jason Marbach. Agatha's a wizard. I guess in D&D terms, Agatha's totally a wizard who turned into a lich. Because the only way that Agatha's living is off the life essence of other fucking witches, and she's just gathering books, and she has the Darkhold. Bro, so she's a lich. That's fucking hilarious.
She's a wizard lich.
So
she's a wizard lich.
Yeah, well, I mean,
otherwise known as
a lich. Anyone who's a lich is a lizard. No, she's not a lizard.
So she's a lizard, a wizard, lizard, and a blizzard.
Yeah, but dude, actually, wizard plus lich. Witch. I mean, if you want to take the other halves of those words, that's
I mean,
funny. That's wow. Ronin Unchained. I see.
Well, we just did count as medieval science, by the way.
I think we just did medieval science. Yeah. Now we have to throw them. We have to throw
that's what I'm saying. Billy Maximoff is a fucking virgins in the Force.
Yes, dude. That's exactly what he is.
That's what I'm saying.
That's exactly what he is. And then at some point, death not even death, because that was death's deal to Agatha, right? Like, one of you needs to die, not both of you get to live. But at the same time, Agatha's like, all right, cool. I'm going to give you my body. Like, my body gets to die, but I'm going to stay a ghost, bitch.
I feel like this series was not just a great adaptation of like beloved Marvel characters, but it was kind of a celebration of witches in general and like witches in pop culture. Like every episode kind of riffed off of like a famous portrayal of a witch. Like we even got Agatha in bright green with the long nose and the pointy hat and everything. Like it was perfect.
As Elphaba, dude. Okay,
it
but can we talk about how much Billy Slade is fucking Maleficent? Bro, I wanted that Maleficent costume.
That was such a funny choice. And honestly, he did. He rocked it. He really wore it like with confidence. That was
oh man, what was the potions witch? They did her so dirty, making her like the evil queen, but the evil queen's ugly version when she like transforms herself to fucking like give the poison apple to Snow White. It's like, dude, you didn't have to do that. You could have just left her as the evil queen, or like Ursula. Like, why you got to do that? But yeah,
I was glad she survived. I was glad that she. As soon as the other two died, I really thought she was a goner.
And got like her full powers, and then we realized that it was Agatha that bound her the whole time. That was some bitch shit.
That was a great scene, actually. That was probably like one of the best acted moments, I think, for me, was her immediately acting on that, taking her power back, like reclaiming her power and just getting out.
Yes.
Getting out.
Yes.
That was powerful. That was very meaningful. Yeah, that was an awesome scene. In the finale, when we go see Billy's bedroom, like, dude,
I want that bedroom so hard.
I know you do. I know you do. God. I was laughing so hard because I was like, oh, Bendu wants that. Bendu has that. I'm pretty sure he has that. Like, it looked like your room. It was cracking me up, dude.
That's
so much.
Fucking great.
So if anyone wants to know what Bendu's like, that's Billy's room is basically his room. So yeah, no, that was fantastic, man.
I'm kind of sad that Jack is not a showrunner for Vision Quest, but the cool thing is Terry Matalas is doing the show. So
Terry Matalas is cool. That guy. Yeah, he did. He did season 3 of Picard.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that's the twist right there. Bendu made the road. Now we all know.
Yeah, I was there. And
People are talking about Vision Quest. What is Vision Quest?
So I don't know. So I'm not
Marvel?
sure. So like, because again, I didn't follow Vision too much in the comics, but I mean, the last time we saw Vision was at the end of WandaVision. Like, he got a brand new body. His consciousness and memory was restored by Wanda's projection vision, because he was like, yeah, you may be a robot with CPU, but you're still made from an infinity stone, which gives you like, you know, like nobody knows the possibilities of what the embodiment of a mind can do. And then so yeah, he tapped his forehead. He's like, oh my God, I remember everything. I am Vision. And then like flew off into space. So yeah, Vision Quest could be
the new. So we're talking like the creepy pale gray Vision that came to kill him is now the new Vision.
Yes.
And is it a show or a movie?
I think it's a show. I think it's going to be a little mini show.
Sick. Okay, I'm down. I'm totally down.
But we also know
Wanda has had a bizarre story. She really has. It's been pretty cool. Do you think we're going to see her again? Do you think she's really done?
Who?
Wanda.
No, that's not what the internet's saying. The internet's saying that Wanda is definitely coming back and is going to be one of the sort of like, so how, you know how Thor came back in Avengers Infinity War when he like had the reforged axe and like he is Stormbreaker and he came down and like cleared out the army and there's a very huge like hurrah moment for
I do remember that. Yeah.
So the theory is, or the rumor is, that Wanda is going to come back during whatever the Doctor Doom Avengers movie is going to be with Tony Stark is Doom. Anyway,
I still don't understand that decision.
Yeah. So Wanda is going to come back and kind of be like, this ain't cool. I'm going to put a stop to this. So, like, she's going to be like the big hurrah thing.
I get it. I'm down. It so did not seem like a death to me.
The WandaVision death?
No, her death in Multiverse of Madness.
Oh yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah,
like
no, absolutely.
Her death. Like, come on.
No, she could come back, especially since we got the weird projection.
She fully like phased through the floor, dude. Like that's.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool, actually, and very poetic. Episode 1 compared to episode 9, or no, not episode 9, episode 8, when we see Agatha die, she turns into like the field of flowers, and then when
that was really pretty
in the scene where Agatha still thinks she's a cop and she's throwing down the pictures of like Wanda's dead body. And Billy is just like, I don't know why you're showing me this. You're just showing me flowers. I thought the parallels of like dead bodies growing into something more beautiful, because life is death and death is just a continuation of life. Fucking metaphor. Metaphor.
I mean, that was central to the theme in so many different ways. Like in many ways, Billy being the next generation of magic users to take up the torch from Agatha, he is the flowers growing from her field, you know?
Yes. And the fact that he's still,
and also he's literally a flower growing from Wanda, who at this time is dead. So like, yeah,
like, dude, I'm so pumped. I'm so pumped for like the next Doctor Strange movie. Do I think Wiccan's going to be part of it? Maybe not necessarily, because at the end of Multiverse of Madness, we also see Clea show up out of nowhere and be like, yo, you fucked around in that other universe too long. Now there's an incursion happening. Oh, by the way, the incursion's happening in the dark dimension. So who knows what kind of just Lovecraftian horrors the next Doctor Strange movie is going to give us. I hope it's really great. God, I hope it's great.
Do you think that the third eye that Doctor Strange now has is going to help him see in the dark dimension?
Oh, absolutely. That's the absolute. But what I was going to say, everyone on Twitter is just like upset or is like worried that like, oh man, Strange is going to be so stressed out when he finds out that Wanda has a reality warp.
Man, fucking whatever. When is he not stressed out?
You know how many?
When is he not stressed out,
bro? Do you know how many kids strain? Like every kid seems